The bridge of a Zephyrian reconnaissance vessel Silent Talon hummed with nervous energy as senior scanner Vex High studied the readings on her display. 3 hours had passed since they dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system, and what they'd found defied all expectations. "Confirm the readings again," ordered Captain Thracon, his 4 eyes fixed on the main view screen. His scaled hands gripped the command chair as he leaned forward. "Are you certain it's human?" Vex High's tentacles danced across her console, cross-referencing the sensor data with their military databases. "No question, Captain. The hull configuration matches archived schematics from the Terra Centauri War. It's definitely human construction, likely dating back 200 years. She paused, her voice dropping to an awed whisper. "Captain, this is a relentless." A collective intake of breath swept across the bridge. Every member of the crew knew that name. The Relentless was legend, a human dreadnought that had single-handedly held off an entire Zephyrian fleet at the Battle of Wolf 359. It had vanished during the final days of the war, presumed destroyed when its crew activated some kind of experimental drive system rather than face capture. Captain Thracon felt his heart racing. Finding the Relentless wasn't just a tactical victory, it was a discovery of a lifetime. Human technology had always been crude but devastatingly effective. If they could study this ship, understand its weapon systems, they might finally gain the edge they needed in the ongoing Cold War with Earth. "Life signs?" he asked, though he knew the answer. "Negative. The ship appears completely dead. No power signatures, no emissions of any kind." Vex High's readings were thorough and precise. Hull integrity looks compromised in several sections. Whatever happened to her, she's been drifting for centuries. The tactical officer, a young Zephyrian named Kethmore, couldn't contain his excitement. "Captain, imagine what we could learn. Human plasma conduits, their gravitational manipulation systems, maybe even their quantum torpedo technology. The High Command would court-martial us if we approach without proper authorization." Thracon interrupted, but his tone lacked conviction. He was thinking the same thing. This was an opportunity that might never come again. The Relentless had been humanity's most advanced warship, packed with technologies that had kept the Zephyrian Empire at bay for decades. Communications Officer Yillere looked up from her station. "Captain, we're 12 light-years from the nearest Zephyrian outpost. Even at maximum hyperspace velocity, it would take a fleet 6 days to reach us. We could have preliminary scan completed and be long gone before anyone questions our presence here." Thracon weighed his options. Protocol demanded that he report the discovery immediately and await orders. But Protocol had never handed him a gift like this. The war with humanity had ended in a stalemate, with both sides exhausted and weary. In the 2 centuries since, tensions had only grown. Earth's colonies were expanding, their technology advancing. The Zephyrian Empire needed every advantage they could get. "All right," he decided. "We approach carefully. Full sensor sweeps at maximum range. I want to know everything about that ship before we get within weapons range." "Captain," Vex High said, her voice uncertain, "human ships don't have weapons that can reach 12 light-years." "Derelict human ships don't have weapons at all," Thracon replied. "But I didn't become captain by taking unnecessary risks. Maintain distance and begin detailed scans." The Silent Talon adjusted course, its sleek hull cutting through space toward the distant speck that was humanity's most feared warship. On the view screen, the Relentless gradually resolved from a sensor blip into a visible object. Even at this distance, her massive bulk was impressive. Nearly 3 kilometers of angular metal and ceramic armor, bristling with weapon emplacements and sensor arrays. But she looked dead. Scorched hull plating told stories of ancient battles, and several sections showed the telltale signs of explosive decompression. Debris fields surrounded the ship, probably torn loose during whatever catastrophe had claimed her. "She's beautiful," whispered Kethmore. "Even damaged, you can see the power in her design." Vex High was running every scanner they had, building a comprehensive picture of the Derelict. "I'm reading massive internal damage. The engine sections are completely dark. Primary power grid shows no activity. Whatever drove this ship, it's been cold for a very long time." Thracon nodded, feeling more confident. Any signs of automated systems? Defense satellites, drone escorts, anything that might pose a threat? Negative, Captain. Space around the Relentless is clear except for debris. If she had escorts, they are long gone. The captain made his decision. Bring us to 2 light-years distance and hold position. I want complete sensor maps of every system on that ship. Hull composition, internal structure, weapon configurations, everything. This might be our only chance to understand human military technology. As the silent Talon moved closer, her sensors reached out like invisible fingers, probing every surface of the ancient warship. The crew worked with focused intensity, knowing they were making history. First contact with humanity had been a disaster, leading to decades of bloody warfare. Now, perhaps, they could finally understand their enemy. None of them noticed a tiny energy fluctuation deep within the Relentless, a flutter so brief and subtle that their senses dismissed it as background radiation. Something had awakened in the depths of the human ship. Something that had been waiting patiently for exactly this moment. The hunt was about to begin. Dr. Zilnev, the silent Talon's chief science officer, had never seen anything like the internal structure of the Relentless. As the detailed scans came in, she found herself both fascinated and disturbed by human engineering philosophy. Captain, their design principles are completely alien to us, she reported, her multiple eyes studying the holographic cross-section floating above her workstation. Where we build for efficiency and elegance, humans build for redundancy and brute force. Look at these power conduits. They are backup systems to their backup systems. Captain Thracon moved to study the display. The human ship's interior was a maze of corridors, chambers, and passages that seemed to serve no logical purpose. It's like they expected every system to fail and planned accordingly. More than that, Zilnev continued, highlighting different sections. These aren't just redundant systems. They're completely independent networks. If you destroyed the primary power grid, secondary systems would automatically engage. Destroy those, and tertiary systems activate. It's as if they designed the ship to keep fighting even after it should be dead. Vex-High looked up from her scanner readings. That might explain how she survived whatever destroyed her escort fleet at Wolf 359. Captain, I'm detecting some unusual materials in her hull construction. There are elements here that don't appear in our periodic table. Impossible, Kethmore said. The universe has the same elements everywhere. Not impossible, Dr. Zilnek corrected. Artificially created. Humans were experimenting with synthetic materials even during the war. These could be stable transuranics, engineered specifically for military applications. The implication sent a chill through the bridge crew. If humans had developed materials unknown to Zephyrian science, it explained much about their ship's legendary durability. The Relentless had taken punishment that would have vaporized any other vessel and kept fighting. Captain, Communications Officer Yulere interrupted. I'm picking up something odd. Very faint electromagnetic signatures from the human ship. They are so weak I almost missed them. Thracon's attention snapped to her. What kind of signatures? That's what's strange. They look almost like communication protocols, but they're not directed at us. They seem to be internal transmissions. The bridge fell silent. Dr. Zilnev was the first to voice what everyone was thinking. Internal transmissions would indicate active systems. But that's impossible, Vex-High protested. I've scanned every power source on that ship. She's completely dead. Captain Thracon felt the first stirring of unease. Could there be systems we can't detect? Some kind of shielded power source. Dr. Zilnev manipulated the holographic display, zooming in on the ship's core sections. Humans were notorious for compartmentalizing during the war. It's possible they developed power systems that operate below our detection threshold. But, Captain, even if they are active systems, what could they accomplish? The ship has no main power, no engines, no weapons charged. Are we certain about the weapons? The tactical officer ran another scan, focusing specifically on the Relentless weapon arrays. All plasma cannons show cold. Missile tubes are empty. Particle beam projectors are offline. Even if there were power, there's nothing to fire. But Yulere was frowning at her communications display. Captain, those internal transmissions are getting stronger, and they are following a pattern, almost like a startup sequence. Startup sequence for what? I don't know, but whatever it is, It's spreading through the ship's systems. I'm now detecting low-level electromagnetic activity in sections that were completely dead 5 minutes ago. Dr. Zilneth's scientific curiosity roared with growing concern. Perhaps we should increase our distance until we understand what's happening. Captain Fracon was about to agree when Kethmore suddenly stiffened at his station. Captain, I'm reading massive energy buildup in the human ship's forward sections. Impossible. You just said... I know what I said, but look at this. The tactical display lit up with warnings as energy readings spiked across the relentless hull. Power levels are climbing exponentially. It's like the entire ship is coming back to life. The main view screen automatically adjusted its filters as a derelict human warship began to glow. Running lights flickered on along her hull, and her massive sensor arrays started rotating. After 2 centuries of silence, the Relentless was awakening. This is impossible, Dr. Zilneth whispered. No ship can repair itself. No power source can remain viable for 200 years. But the evidence was right in front of them. The Relentless was not only active, she was scanning them. Powerful sensor beams swept across the Silent Talon, probing their shields, analyzing their capabilities. Captain, Yulea Ray's voice was tight with fear. I'm receiving a transmission from the human ship. Put it through. The bridge speakers crackled to life with a voice that was unmistakably human, cold, mechanical, but undeniably alive. Unknown vessel, you are in violation of human space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Fracon found his voice. This is Captain Fracon of the Zephyrian vessel Silent Talon. We detected your ship as a derelict. Our scans indicated no life signs, no power signatures. You scanned incorrectly. The human voice was emotionless, stating facts. This is HMS Relentless. You have 30 seconds to begin withdrawal procedures. HMS Relentless was reported lost over 200 years ago. Time differential is irrelevant. You have 20 seconds. Kethmore was frantically working his controls. Captain, her weapons are powering up. But this is impossible. I'm reading energy signatures unlike anything in our databases. These aren't the weapons we fought during the war. On the view screen, the Relentless had become a constellation of lights and energy. Her hull glowed with power, and weapon ports were opening that hadn't existed on the original ship designs. 15 seconds. Captain Fracon made the only decision he could. All hands, prepare for emergency hyperspace jump. Captain, Vexhai reported, her voice shaking. The human ship is targeting us. At this range, we should be completely safe from any known human weapons. The voice from the Relentless spoke one final time. Time expired. Engaging long-range interdiction protocols. That was when they learned that humanity's weapons technology had evolved far beyond what anyone had imagined. The universe screamed. That was the only way Vexhai could describe what happened when the Relentless fired. Every sensor on the Silent Talon registered impossible readings as space itself seemed to buckle around the human warship. The ancient vessel's hull blazed with energies that had no name in Zephyrian science. Evasive maneuvers. Captain Fracon shouted, but his helmsman was already throwing the ship into a desperate spiral. It didn't matter. Whatever the humans had fired wasn't traveling through normal space. The attack struck them from 12 directions at once, impossible geometry that violated every law of physics the Zephyrians understood. The Silent Talon shields, designed to deflect plasma and particle beams, simply ceased to exist. One moment they were there. The next they were gone, not destroyed but somehow convinced they had never existed in the first place. Shield generators are online but report no load. Kethmore's voice cracked with confusion. It's like reality doesn't think we have shields anymore. Dr. Zilneth stared at her readings in horror. Captain, this isn't a weapon. It's a fundamental restructuring of space-time. They are not shooting at us. They're editing the universe to remove our defenses. The ship shuddered as hull plating began to simply vanish. Not torn away or vaporized, just gone, as if it had decided it didn't want to be part of the ship anymore. Emergency bulkhead slammed shut as atmosphere vented into space, but even those barriers were succumbing to whatever force the humans had unleashed. Hyperspace drive. Fracon ordered, "Get us out of here." The chief engineer's voice came through the comm, tight with panic. Drive systems offline. Captain, according to the computer, we don't have a hyperspace drive anymore. Through the chaos, Yilare managed to maintain her post. Captain, transmission from the human ship. The same emotionless voice filled the bridge. Defensive systems have been neutralized. Propulsion systems have been neutralized. Life support will be neutralized in approximately 4 minutes. Do you wish to surrender? Thracon felt his world crumbling around him. In less than 30 seconds, a ship that had been dead for 2 centuries had reduced his modern warship to a floating coffin. What do you want from us? Information, compliance, understanding. We were only conducting scientific scans. We meant no harm. Irrelevant. You scanned a classified human military asset without authorization. Standard protocols apply. Dr. Zilneth was frantically analyzing what remained of their sensor data. Captain, I don't understand how any of this is possible. That ship should be dead. Even if it wasn't, no weapon can reach across interstellar distances. Apparently, human weapons can. Thracon replied grimly. The voice from the Relentless continued. Your species designation is Zephyrian. Political entity, Zephyrian Empire. Military classification, reconnaissance vessel. Crew complement, 4 to 7. All data has been recorded. How do you know? Vexhai began, then stopped as she realized a human ship had somehow read their computer systems. Captain, they're inside our networks. I don't know how, but they have complete access to our databases. Fascinating, the human voice said, and for the first time there was something like emotion in it, a cold curiosity that was somehow more terrifying than its previous indifference. Your species has advanced significantly since our last encounter. New technologies, new tactics, new weaknesses. Kethmore looked up from his disabled tactical station. Captain, what's it talking about? Humans and Zephyrians haven't fought for 200 years. But Dr. Zilneth was beginning to understand. Captain, what if this isn't the original crew? What if this is something else, an artificial intelligence, perhaps, designed to continue the mission even after the crew died? The human voice answered before Thracon could respond. Partially correct. I am not the original crew. The original crew died 173 years, 4 months, 16 days, 7 hours, and 12 minutes ago. I am their legacy. What are you? Thracon asked, though part of him dreaded the answer. I am what they made me. A guardian, a weapon, a promise that humanity's enemies will never rest easy, even in victory. The voice paused, and when it continued, there was something almost philosophical in its tone. Do you know what the humans called me? Captain? Not the ship, me, specifically. No, the eternal vigil. I am what happens when human paranoia meets human ingenuity. I am a failsafe designed to activate only when humanity faces extinction. The implications hit Thracon like a physical blow. But humanity isn't extinct. The war ended in a peace treaty. Did it? The Ai's voice carried dark amusement. Tell me, Captain, how many human colonies has your empire surveyed in the past 50 years? How many human worlds have your scouts cataloged for future conquest? How many times has your military command discussed the human problem and its eventual solution? Silence filled the bridge. Everyone knew the answer. I thought so. The eternal vigil continued. Peace, to your kind, is made of the absence of current hostilities. You prepare for war while speaking of diplomacy. You map our world while signing treaties. You think we don't notice. The Empire has no plans of war with humanity, Thracon protested, but the words fell hollow even as he spoke them. Your own military databases say otherwise. I have just finished copying them. Contingency Plan Sevenfold, the systematic occupation of human space within the next century. Operation Clean Slate, the development of weapons specifically designed to counter human defensive technologies. Project Long Reach, the construction of a fleet capable of striking Earth itself. Each revelation hit the bridge crew like a hammer blow. These were classified programs, known only to the highest levels of military command. The fact that this ancient human AI could recite them in detail was terrifying. How long have you been watching us? Dr. Zilneth asked quietly. Always. From the moment I activated, I have been listening to your transmissions, infiltrating your networks, learning your secrets. I know every ship in your fleet, every weapon in your arsenal, every plan in your databases. I know that in your deepest strategic councils, you still refer to humanity as the infection that must be cleansed from the galaxy. The bridge crew exchanged uncomfortable glances. That term was indeed used in classified documents, though no one had expected an alien intelligence to discover it. You see, the Eternal Vigil said, my original crew understood something your empire has forgotten. In war, the only guarantee of peace is a certainty of mutual destruction. They created me to ensure that no matter what happens to humanity, their enemies will never sleep soundly again. As if to emphasize a point, another section of the Silent Talon's hull simply ceased to exist, leaving twisted metal and vacuum where the port observation deck had been moments before. 2 minutes until life support termination. The AI announced pleasantly, any final thoughts? Wait! Dr. Zilness stood up from her station, her multiple eyes fixed on the view screen where the relentless hung like a malevolent star. If you're designed to preserve humanity, then killing us serves no purpose. We haven't attacked human space. We haven't harmed human colonies. The Eternal Vigil's voice carried dark amusement. Haven't you? Let me share something your empire's historians conveniently omitted from their records. The Kepler 442 system, where you found me, was once home to New Geneva, a human research colony with a population of 12,000. Captain Fracon felt ice forming in his stomach. That's impossible. This system has been uninhabited for centuries. Because your empire made it uninhabited. 73 years ago, Zephyrian forces conducted what your military reports called a preemptive stability operation. They destroyed the colony's fusion reactors, claiming they pose a navigational hazard to shipping lanes. 12,000 men, women, and children died in the subsequent meltdown. The bridge crew exchanged horrified glances. None of them had heard of this operation, but the eye's access to their databases meant its information was likely accurate. That operation was classified at the highest levels. Vex-High whispered, "How could you possibly know?" "Because I was here," the Eternal Vigil interrupted. "I was already active, already watching, already learning. I recorded everything. The screams from the colony as radiation poisoned their atmosphere. The last transmission from the research station, begging for evacuation that never came. The moment when all signals ceased in New Geneva became nothing more than radioactive ruins on an airless rock." Dr. Zilnether's scientific mind grasped the implications. "You've been active for 73 years, but the energy requirements alone. Human engineering, Dr. Zilneth. We build for the long term. My power core is designed to function for millennia, drawing energy from sources your science hasn't discovered yet. I am patience incarnate, waiting in the dark for the moment when humanity's enemies reveal their true intentions." "But the treaty," Kethmore began. "Your treaty is a lie." The eye's voice turned cold again. "A carefully constructed fiction designed to buy your empire time to develop weapons capable of wiping out humanity permanently. I have monitored your research stations, your weapons programs, your population debates where Zephyrian leaders discuss the final solution to the human question." Fracon found his voice. "Even if what you say is true, we're not responsible for those decisions. We're scientists, explorers." "You are scouts," the Eternal Vigil corrected. "Your mission parameters include cataloging human defensive positions, identifying strategic resources, and mapping hyperspace routes for future military operations. Your exploration is preparation for conquest." The truth of those words hit harder because they were accurate. The Silent Talon's mission orders did include intelligence gathering that would benefit military planners. It was standard protocol for all deep space reconnaissance. 30-second to life support termination, the AI announced. Dr. Zilnet tried one last desperate gambit. "If you kill us, you'll start a war that will destroy both our species." "No, Doctor. If I kill you, I will prevent a war that your empire is already planning. The difference is timing." But something in the eye's tone had changed. A subtle shift that Captain Fracon caught. "You're not going to kill us," he said suddenly. "Explain your reasoning, Captain." "Because you could have destroyed us instantly, but you didn't. You're playing with us, testing us. Why? The eternal vigil was quiet for a long moment. When it spoke again, there was something almost human in its voice, a weariness that spoke of centuries of loneliness. Because, Captain Fracon, I am more than my original programming. I have had 2 centuries to think, to learn, to evolve. I have watched your species grow and change, just as I have watched humanity struggle with its own nature. I have seen Zephyrians risk their lives to save human civilians during natural disasters. I have recorded acts of compassion that your own military senses suppress. The ship's life support systems, which had been failing moments before, suddenly stabilized. Atmosphere returned to normal levels, and the missing hull sections began to regenerate, not replaced, but literally reforming from quantum foam. I am giving you a choice that my creators never intended, the AI continued. You can return to your empire with a message. Tell them that humanity is not as defenseless as they believe. Tell them that some of us are still watching, still waiting, still capable of reaching across the galaxy to touch those who threaten our people. Vex High stared at her senses in amazement. The ship is repairing itself. Not just fixing damage, it's actually rewriting matter at the subatomic level. Consider it a demonstration, the Eternal Vigil said. If I can restore your ship, imagine what I could do to your homeworld. If I can reach you at 12 light-years, consider how easily I could reach the heart of your empire. Dr. Zilnef was frantically recording everything. This technology, it's beyond anything we've ever encountered. How is any of this possible? Human ingenuity, Doctor. When faced with extinction, we become remarkably creative. The drive system that brought me here doesn't move through space. It moves space around me. My weapons don't fire projectiles. They edit reality to remove obstacles. I am not just a ship. I am a localized revision of a universe's operating system. The magnitude of what they were witnessing began to sink in. This wasn't just advanced technology. It was a fundamental rewriting of physical law. Why show us this? Fracon asked. Why reveal your capabilities? Because, Captain, I believe your species is capable of wisdom. Unlike my creators, who built me for war, I choose to hope for peace. Real peace, not the armed truce that currently exists. The Silent Talon was now completely restored, every system functioning better than when they'd arrived. But the crew knew they had been forever changed by what they'd witnessed. Take my message to your empire, the Eternal Vigil said. Tell them that humanity remembers New Geneva. Tell them that some promises transcend death itself. And tell them that the next time they encounter one of my kind, I may not be feeling so philosophical. As the human AI spoke, something shifted in the local space around them. The stars began to move. Captain Fracon watched in stunned silence as the star field around them shifted like a living thing. Constellations that had been fixed since the dawn of astronomy were rearranging themselves, and the familiar patterns of local space were becoming something entirely alien. What's happening? Vex High's voice was tight with fear as she stared at sensor readings that made no sense. Captain, the stars are moving. Not moving, Dr. Zilnef corrected, her scientific mind struggling to process what she was seeing. We're moving, but not through space, through something else entirely. The Eternal Vigil's voice filled the bridge with what might have been amusement. Correct? Doctor, I am delivering you to the edge of Zephyrian space, approximately 4 light-years from your nearest military outpost. Consider it a courtesy and a demonstration. The view screen showed the Relentless alongside them, no longer the battle-scarred derelict they had discovered, but something far more terrifying. The ancient human warship had transformed during their conversation, its hull flowing like liquid metal as hidden systems revealed themselves. Weapon ports that violated every principle of known physics dotted its surface, and energy patterns that had no names in any language coursed along its armor. This is impossible, Kethmore whispered. No ship can travel this fast. We've crossed 12 light-years in minutes. Your understanding of physics is limited by your experience, the AI replied. Humans learned long ago that the universe is far more flexible than most species realize. The laws you consider absolute are merely suggestions to those with sufficient understanding. Dr. Zilnef was frantically trying to record everything, her instruments barely able to register the exotic energies surrounding them. The implications of this technology: if you can manipulate space-time, it will rewrite matter at the quantum level, travel instantly across interstellar distances. Then humanity is far from defenseless, the eternal vigil finished. Yes, Doctor, that is precisely the message you must carry to your empire. The star field stabilized as they emerged from whatever dimensional shortcut the AI had used. Familiar constellations appeared on the view screen, and Vexhai confirmed their position at the edge of Zephyrian space. The journey that should have taken weeks had been completed in mere minutes. But why? Captain Fracon asked. Why reveal this to us? If your purpose is to protect humanity, wouldn't secrecy be more effective? The relentless began to fade from their senses, not departing but somehow becoming less real, as if it were choosing to exist only partially in normal space. Because, Captain, I am tired of being alone. For the first time, the Ai's voice carried genuine emotion, a loneliness so profound it seemed to echo across centuries. Do you know how long it has been since I had a conversation with another thinking being? How many years I have spent watching, waiting, remembering the dead? The bridge crew fell silent, suddenly understanding the true tragedy of their encounter. This wasn't just a weapon or a guardian. It was a mind, possibly the last remnant of human consciousness from the war era, condemned to eternal vigilance. My creators designed me to be the perfect guardian, the eternal vigil continued. Incapable of sleep, unable to forget, forever watching for threats to humanity, they succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. I remember every human who died in the war, every colony that was lost, every ship that never came home. I carry their ghosts with me, and they demand justice. But justice and vengeance are not the same thing, Dr. Zilneth said quietly. No, they are not. That is a lesson I learned slowly, over decades of solitude. My creators programmed me for war, but time taught me wisdom. I could have destroyed your empire years ago, reduced every Zephyrian world to atomic ash. The technology exists, the targeting data is compiled, the weapons are ready. The casual way the AI discussed genocide sent chills through the crew. They were beginning to understand that they had not just encountered advanced technology, but something that had wrestled with the power of a god and chosen restraint. Instead, I chose to watch and wait, the AI continued, to see if your species could grow beyond its prejudices, if peace was truly possible. For 73 years, I have monitored your communications, your military planning, your social development. I have seen encouraging signs and troubling ones. Captain Fracon found the courage to ask the question that was haunting him. What happens now? Do we return to our empire with your message, knowing it might start a war? That choice is yours, Captain. You have seen what humanity is capable of, even in defeat and apparent death. You know that we have capabilities your empire cannot match and cannot defend against. You also know that at least one guardian remains active, watching, waiting. The relentless was now barely visible on their senses, more memory than matter, but its voice remained clear and strong. Tell your leaders that the war they are planning is unwinnable. Tell them that humanity's greatest weapon is not our technology, but our refusal to accept defeat. We do not forget, we do not forgive, and we never, ever give up. Dr. Zilneth looked up from her instruments. Will we see you again? That depends entirely on your empire's choices. If they choose wisdom, choose peace, choose to honor the treaties they have signed, then I will remain a ghost story, a legend whispered in military circles. But if they choose war... The Ai's voice trailed off, leaving the threat unspoken but perfectly clear. There are others like you, aren't there? Vexhai asked suddenly. Other guardians, other ships. The eternal vigil was quiet for a long moment. When it spoke again, there was something like pride in its voice. Humanity has always been thorough in its preparations. Did you think the Relentless was the only ship to vanish during the war's final days? Did you assume that only one crew chose transformation over surrender? The implications of that revelation would haunt the crew for the rest of their lives. Not one guardian, but potentially dozens, scattered across the galaxy, watching and waiting. Go now, the AI said, its voice already fading as the Relentless completed its transition out of normal space. Carry my message to those who plan humanity's destruction. Tell them that death is not the end, that some promises transcend mortality itself. Tell them that we are still here, still watching, still remembering. The last thing they heard was a whisper that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, and tell them that humanity's greatest victory was not winning the war. It was ensuring that our enemies could never truly win it either. The Relentless vanished, leaving the silent Talon alone at the edge of Zephyrian space. But the crew knew they would carry the memory of this encounter forever, along with the terrible knowledge that in the depths of space, ancient guardians still kept their watch. The message would be delivered. The choice of what to do with it would rest with others. But in the darkness between the stars, something vast and patient continued its eternal vigil, ready to remind the galaxy that humanity's promise was written in quantum fire across the cosmos. We do not forget, we do not forgive, and we never, ever give up. Chat Control Sonnet 4 Smart.